What is up, Tiger fans? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I will be recapping Clemson's 19-13 victory over Boston College. So the Tigers came out, and I believe it was the best offensive performance from Clemson this season. You see that on that first row. I think this was Clemson's best overall offensive game. And if you look at the third row, Uiagalelei, flashed ability, still too inconsistent. So, everything has to start with the quarterback and DJ Uiagalelei. And I believe that DJ played his best game of the year. Now, 13-28, 207 yards, and no touchdowns. Doesn't sound great, but DJ made some very nice throws, and he didn't turn the ball over. And I think that's really what won Clemson this game, is that DJ, he played solid, but most importantly, he didn't give up the football. Now, the big reason that Clemson had such a successful night, especially early on, was because of the run game. Kobe Pace broke out a 59-yard touchdown run, and for the game finished 19 carries for 125 yards and a touchdown. Of course, no Will Shipley, Lynn J. Dixon transferred, so Clemson really needed Kobe Pace to step up. And also, Phil Maffa, a true freshman who hasn't really played at all, just because he's been buried on the depth chart. I think he might have been dealing with an injury. But 7 carries for 58 yards. Phil Maffa had a great debut in a big-time role for Clemson. So we'll have to see what the Tigers do with him the rest of the year, especially once Shipley comes back. But Pace and Maffa look really good. Uiagalelei had a couple solid runs. It seems like he's getting better each week of just escaping the pocket. But there's still just a lot of things that just aren't great about DJ. But I think he is improving now. Maybe not a whole lot, but I think he is improving. So Boston College, they took advantage of Clemson's miscues. BC's quarterback, Dennis Grosel, he had a good game, 23 of 40, 311 yards. And it was the tight ends really burning Clemson. So, the Tigers, they've had trouble guarding tight ends in the past. Trey Berry had 82 receiving yards, and he had a couple of big catches. And it was just a bunch of big plays. Boston College, they had some big passing plays. And that's really what Clemson needs to fix. Now, this defense is still one of the best in the country. But with all the injuries, you're just looking for guys to step up and make plays. And Clemson played a great overall game. The defensive front was super disruptive. But there were some miscues in the secondary. And those are going to have to change if Clemson wants to finish out the season strong. This is a Boston College team with their backup quarterback in. And overall, a very good performance for the defense. But there were a few plays that could have actually probably costed Clemson more than they did in this game. Zay Flowers had 5 catches for 70 yards. He was matched up against Andrew Booth for a large portion of this game. Booth made a couple solid plays, made a couple nice tackles. But, overall, I think it was a pretty even matchup. I'd probably say Zay Flowers won the matchup overall over Andrew Booth. But, I don't know, it was a pretty even matchup. 2 great players going up against each other. And then Boston College, their run game, it was okay. Pat Garrow had a couple solid runs, but they couldn't get anything consistently going against that defensive front, led by James Skalski and Balin Spector at linebacker. But, Clemson, a good game defensively, gave up some big plays. Offensively for the Tigers, it was just another struggle. But the run game was definitely a huge positive here. And DJ, as I mentioned, I believe he is improving. Now, Clemson, they carry a 3-2 record into the bye week, and they just handed Boston College their first loss. So Clemson, as I mentioned, carrying a 3-2 record into the bye week. This will give the Tigers a chance to sort of regroup and just figure out where they can improve. DJ was literally on the field throwing after the game with a trainer, so he's obviously putting the work in. He knows that he has to improve. But I don't know, this Tigers team, they still have a long way to go before being an ACC champion, which is really the ultimate goal at this point for this season. But hats off to Boston College, hats off to Jeff Hafley. He's an amazing head coach, done a great job during his first 2 years at Boston College. They play hard, but they just made a couple big mistakes. Dennis Grosel threw 2 interceptions that could have easily been prevented, and he fumbled that the snap at the end of the game. And Boston College was going down. If they would have scored a touchdown and gotten the extra point on that final drive, Boston College wins that game by 1 point, but Dennis Grosel fumbled the snap at the end of the game, and that's what ended up hurting Boston College. But overall, I was impressed with Grosel. He's made a couple costly mistakes, but a great game, and hats off to Boston College. They played an excellent game. But, Dabo, he had this team well coached. He was fired up. And the referees, that's another thing that I want to talk about real quick. And I'm not here to make an excuse about the referees. I'm not going to say, oh, Boston College should have won, or oh, Clemson should have destroyed them. The referees were bad on both sides, but the refs were bad in this game. I just want to throw that out there. But I think they were pretty evenly bad, I guess, for each team. But great game from Boston College. Just a couple costly mistakes from Dennis Grosel that ended up costing them in the end. But that's all I have for this video. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments what you thought about Clemson's 19-13 victory over Boston College. The Tigers improved to 3-2 on this season.